Great. So thanks, guys, for joining me today. I've been pretty excited to see your last final presentation. I don't know how long we've been working at this for, but I was trying to calculate, but we have to like 9 weeks. I think you guys did more than 185 customer interviews, maybe more from what I counted, and probably a whole bunch of long nights for you guys. So it's quite exciting to sort of see where we've come from in the beginning. But we're gonna, I'll probably give you guys 10 minutes for presentations. If you need more time, we can be a little bit flexible. But then wanted to leave a few minutes for just questions, comments. You all have been sort of watching each other and know each other's stories well over the past few months. So I know you have probably valuable contributions to give people from the different teams. So feel free to ask any questions or give any suggestions that you might have or feedback after the presentations. And then thought we could just close with a little bit on your thoughts on how the whole overall experience was and what kind of improvements you would make going forward. And then just a little bit of wrap up on how you guys can get your data off of Launchpad Central, which I'm still trying to figure out, but we have access to Launchpad Central until August 1st, and then our account is closed. So you have about a month to be able to get all the information and interviews that you put up there off, so you can keep it for whatever next steps you're going to be taking, which we'll find out in a little bit. But we're going to kick off with Kidogo, because Afzal is joining us from work or slipping away from work, so we're going to have them go first, and then Kitonga from BCT will go second, just because he got his slide deck in first, and then we'll go in the order of the slide deck from there. So without further ado, Sabrina and Afzal, take it away.
Thank you so much. So we are thrilled to be able to share our Kidogo deck with you. I think when we look back at the first deck we made for this course and we look at the final deck right now, I think you can see the growth in our thinking and in our ideas and refining our model, and we're excited to present that to you today. So you have the deck in front of you. We'll start with the first slide. So Kidogo, our story. Our team, most of you are well versed with who we are, Afzal, myself, Kenzie, and Adam. But what we've also done is started an advisory board. And the first two members, Brad and John, are our mentors from this Acumen course. They both bring with them diverse experience, Brad on the entrepreneurial side, and John working with Acumen for the last little while. We also have two development practitioners. Sadaf is an ECD, Early Childhood Development Specialist, who has worked both in Canada and in developing countries. And Mikhaila Mantel is a Senior Program Officer of the Aga Khan Development Network and has incredible experience with project implementation in East Africa. And so we've got a solid team in place that backs up the rest of this presentation. If we go to our idea, so if you remember where Kidogo all started, it started with a problem that we saw. In urban slums in Kenya, we found that there were limited childcare options. You know, there's no concept of maternity leave, and so mothers who deliver babies have to go back to work shortly after. And the question then is, what happens with their children? And so in some cases, the child is left alone at home by itself for 12 hours during the day. In some situations, an older sibling is pulled out of school in order to take care of a younger sibling, which is a better option, but of course in that scenario, the older sibling then does not complete primary school. And the third option of what we saw was these innovative baby care centers, which essentially was an entrepreneurial mother who had opened her home to housing children for a nominal fee. And we found that this was probably the best of the three options, but there were still huge problems with it. They were unsafe. There were hazards everywhere. They were congested. They were risk for spreading diseases. And we thought that we could upgrade these a little bit. And that's where the opportunity came from. Our desire was to build new and improved early childhood development centers where we retrofit, we provide high quality training to caregivers, we improve the quality of standards of care, we improve health and education, and really change the trajectory of these children's lives.
Great, so I'll take over from here. So with this idea, we think came great potential. And so for those of you who are in Nairobi right now, you know that Kubwa means big potential. You know, if we look at the number of children living in slums, well, first, number of children in sub-Saharan Africa, it's over 130 million. The number of children in East African urban slums is 2.5 million. And in our target market, which is the number of children in Kenya's urban slums, we've estimated around 650,000. That leads us to believe there's a market size in Kenya alone of about $150 million. If we think about East Africa as a whole, the market potential is about 4 times that. So we do believe there's a huge market here, and of course we're not going to get a big percentage of that, but it's promising to know that we're not in a market without any potential. And so, of course, we joined the Lean for Social Impact course, and so the way we structured the rest of the deck is kind of based on this hypothesis, experiments, findings, then the progress, kind of where we are today, and what our next steps are going to be. So I'll walk us through that. And of course, you guys can see that we've taken one screenshot here with all of us and Bob to remember the experience fondly. So just in terms of hypotheses, you know, we believe that the problem was that parents wanted a place to keep their children while they were at work or while they were out hustling during the day, and the baby carers may have been their only option, but they are unsafe, and so they didn't prefer to send their kids there, but they didn't have much of an option. What we actually found out later on, and we can talk to a little bit, but is in some areas they actually don't even have the option of baby care. So while some of them are very, very poor quality, some just don't have any at all. With regards to the solution, you know, we believe that we could improve the existing baby care centers with higher quality facilities, well-trained caregivers, a curriculum that prepares children for school, and of course, our value proposition would then be, you know, parents would benefit from having a safe place to keep their kids. There would be social status with sending my kid to the best school in town or the best preschool in town, and still keeping it affordable. And that was really what we hope to share as our value proposition. So with regards to experiments, I'll pass it back over to Sabrina to kind of talk through what are the things we did during the course.
Thanks, Axel. So in terms of experiments, we did a comprehensive benchmarking study in order to figure out what the best practices were in early childhood development centers across the world. We did a whole bunch of interviews, 75+ interviews with customers, with experts in the field, with early childhood development educators, with a whole bunch of valuable people. And we did site visits as well. And we did focus group discussions in 3 different areas, 3 different slums within Kenya to try and broaden our learning and figure out, you know, what the best model would be with more than one slum. And so if you look at our findings on the next slide, this is what we learned. And so we figured out, first of all, that slums are different, and childcare options in slums vary considerably. We looked at some places, such as Kibera and Babadogo, which had no options at all for childcare centers. And in these situations, mothers were taking their children with them to work in unsafe situations, or leaving them at home by themselves. And we looked at other slums like Mololongo, which had existing centers but were not of the best quality. The second thing that we learned was that there's a significant demand from mothers. The problem is real, and there's a market available. Mothers want to find a place, a safe, affordable, and convenient place to keep their children during the day, and that was promising to us. The third learning for us was when you look at the priorities of the mother, safety is important, but a huge one there was food. And we found that if we are able to add food to our product, it would be able to attract mothers a heck of a lot more. And in fact, their willingness to pay would increase almost 2 times. And so if, for example, they'd be willing to pay, 60 cents normally without food, they'd be looking at paying double that if we were to offer food, because it's not something they have to worry about then. Our fourth learning is that there are a whole bunch of local employers and NGOs in the region, and they are working with often the same market that we're looking at, and they have existing relationships with this market. And so if we're able to partner with these employers or NGOs, we can really leverage the relationships that they have to build and broaden our customer base. And our fifth learning, which is probably the hardest one that we came across, something that we really struggled with, was that we were trying to balance 3 main factors. So we were trying to figure out, what's important for children in terms of their development. What are all the features that we need to include in order to make these children, have a good development during their early years. But we were also balancing that with the pull from the customers. And so if we found that the mothers were looking for something affordable, we couldn't possibly offer every single feature that we thought was important to ECD. And then if we balance that with the sustainability aspect, we needed to figure out a model that would make us financially sustainable. And so balancing these 3 kind of different things, this ECD impact, the pull factor from the mothers, as well as this need for financial sustainability, we found that we really needed to focus on highest value interventions so that we could maximize as best as possible these 3 different areas. If we take you to the next slide, if you remember the week that we did customer archetypes, it was a huge learning for us, and we actually went back into the community, did a whole bunch of focus group sessions and questionnaires to figure out who are our customers. What we wanted to understand what their lives look like, and what does a typical day in their life look like. And we found that we have really 2 major customer archetypes. We've got those that currently don't access any childcare services, and we've got those that send their children to existing baby care centers. And so in the first case, you've got a 26-year-old woman who washes clothes, earns just over $2 a day. Her life is comprised of waking up early, cooking breakfast, walking door to door with her baby on her back, and then returns home and sleeps at around 9. And what her pain point was is that it's difficult to work. It's difficult to wash clothes when you've got a baby on your back. And often in the rainy seasons, when she's walking with this child, the child gets sick quite often. And all she wants, her dream, is to have a child that is healthy and happy. If you contrast that to our second archetype, you've got a 28-year-old woman who's a tailor, earns a little bit more at $3.50 a day. And she wakes up at 4:30, and instead of carrying her baby on her back, she takes her baby to an existing baby care center. And although that's a great option, her pain points are that it's dirty and congested. There's limited play materials. There's no place to warm food, and she finds that often the children are mistreated or shouted at. So she's currently paying 60 cents for that without any food, and is not particularly happy. And her dreams, just like the other woman, are for her child to be healthy and happy. And so this was an important exercise for us to really understand what our customers look like.
And so just to wrap up here with regards to progress, over the period of the course and going out and doing these experiments and talking to experts, we've actually identified a potential pilot site And so this slide kind of speaks a little bit to what the pilot site could look like. On the left, a picture of the real existing facility. On the right, a mock-up of what we'd like to do with it. And so we're kind of in the process over the next 6 months of doing first finalizing the agreements and terms on the actual site and confirming that we can actually use it, but then doing facility renovations, retrofitting it to make it child-friendly, recruiting and training a first batch of caregivers, and also building out the customer base through marketing. And so we hope to, by December or early in January, open our first center. And with regards, and we really hope to use that pilot to refine our idea, and still have our eye on scalability. How do we really expand this idea across the country, and then in later years across the region? And so then finally, in terms of next steps, where are we going from here? So we are continuing with Kidogo. It's becoming real, and so over the next 4 to 5 months, we're actually launching a fundraising campaign to fund that first pilot. We're in the process of currently figuring out exactly how much we will need to cover our operating costs as well as the facility retrofit. But we're building out a Twitter page, Facebook page, a website. So we're going to have a YouTube page. All those things we're going to put together and get to a really strong online presence to complement what we'll be doing on the ground. So there's a possibility of me making a trip to both New York and California to kind of meet with some of these potential impact investors or angel investors, and get a few people on our advisory board, and then hopefully launch the pilot and go back to those same groups to be, our champions going forward if we can get the model right. So that's essentially where we are today, and so we're really excited with where we've come over the last I guess it's been 2 months as part of the Lean course. And I'm not sure if, Jessica, if you wanted to show the video, or if you wanted to go to questions first, or how you wanted this to work.
We could try the video. It's a little bit longer, but we can give it a shot if you want to get feedback on the video from people, or if you would prefer to just field some questions.
Yeah, if maybe we can just show the beginning of the video, and then we can cut it out for another time.
All right, let's see if I can do this right. You guys, or feedback on where they're at, or the video, or anything. I'm happy to open it up to you guys first.
Wow, the video is really awesome. I think you've done a fantastic job. And wow, this course definitely just goes to show how much it has helped each one of us grow from where we started and where we are at, and they've done a good job showing us their story. Well, I can just say it's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Agreed. I think the deck and everything was super well done, and the story is great, and super excited to see what there is to come for you guys. I think since we're all here, and that you're looking to launch a pilot possibly in December, where you're at now, how can we help, or what is sort of the next sort of critical things that you need to put into place, or people that you need to meet to sort of get to the next level, that we could possibly help you with?
So I think that there's probably 2 things that we need to settle on in order to move forward. One is we are looking for somebody, hopefully, to be a partner or a helper for us on the ground. As you know, Sabrina and I are both right now in North America, and so it's been a little bit difficult to coordinate. And so what we're hoping for is to get a coordinator on the ground in Nairobi who can help us build out this first pilot before we can get onto the ground. And so, helping run the facility retrofit and all those kinds of things. And Jessica, I know you made the point around reaching out to the Acumen Network, the fellows, and I think that's something we need to absolutely explore more. That could be an interesting possibility. But also, if anybody else on the call, I know that we've got some teams in Nairobi knows somebody or would be interested in kind of helping out in a part-time capacity, please let us know, because it's something I think we know you guys a little bit better than just trying to hire out of the blue, and so that's one thing. The second thing is we're going to go on a fundraising campaign, and so once we're ready for that, we're going to send you guys a message that says, here's the link to the page, or here's the link to our Twitter and Facebook and all those kinds of things, and here's our target goal, here's how much we're trying to raise, and we would love if you guys could use your networks to blast that same email message, blast that, publicize us on your own feeds and get your own friends interested, even if it's just building profile, even not.
I think your internet's getting a little weak, Afzal.
I think Afzal's internet is being kind of funky right now, but I think Afzal said that brilliantly. So the 2 points are, if you're interested in being our on-the-ground person or know somebody, please have them get in touch with us. And the second idea is stay tuned to your emails for our fundraising email with links to all of our pages. And help us out.
Great. Yeah, when I saw the Facebook and Twitter accounts going up, I was asking when are you going to share those with us so we can be the first ones to like them. So send that out to us, and feel free. I think this is a great small group of kind of peer entrepreneurs in the making to use as a resource. So I think this isn't sort of the last time we'll all be together, or at least on the same email chain sharing information. Thanks, Sabrina. It looks like, I'm sure Afzal has to run back or get back online for work, but awesome job. I want to move on to Marafiki so we don't get too far behind, because I know you have a call at 11:30. But thank you so much. This is awesome. So Rhoda and team, are you guys ready to share your final presentation with us?
Yes, we are.
Great.
Most of you have not necessarily seen me. I'm Samuel Chama, so today I get the privilege of going in front of you guys. It's unnerving, but I'll do my best. So, when we started off, we thought of providing solar-powered lanterns to parents of school-going children in rural areas and informal settlements. Or rather, we just wanted to provide lanterns to people in informal settlements and rural areas. But, sorry, give me a minute. Yeah, so the main problem that we encountered, we realized that maybe our main target is not necessarily everyone in the informal settlements and rural areas. And with time, we realized what we really wanted to target was the school-going children. All of us really felt that many of the school-going children were unable to read at night due to lack of proper lighting, especially in the rural areas and informal settlements. Though not all informal settlements, as we realized, most of them have illegal connections to the power grid. So the facts on the ground are that there are about 4 million households in rural Kenya presenting huge potential, and out of those 4 million households, 68% of them rely on wood fuel and other biomass. So what we decided to do is we first went to the nearest slums, which was Kibera, but with time we realized Kibera had a lot of investors, NGOs going there, so they were very fatigued with all the interviews. So most of them were not really helpful. But with advice from one of our mentors, Suraj, we went to another one called Kangemi, and in talking to them, we realized that the parents there were very keen on getting lanterns for their school-going children. Many were not so keen on having them as just lighting their house, but when we put it across to them that it would help their children and everything, some of them actually are the ones who told us, and we realized their children really needed it. So So our big idea was to provide affordable solar lanterns to parents of school-going children in informal settlements and rural areas that lack access to reliability. The behavior map that we thought of was parents buy the lantern, they take it home, put it in the sun to charge, then the children get to use it to study, and eventually they get better grades and have a better and better future. And the reality, what we found is that, like the first one I said was Kibera, the slums do not have, we thought they did not have access to electricity, but we realized they have connections to illegally. And so we went to other slum areas where we found other parents that are more concerned than themselves or their businesses. And so from their responses, we were we realized their major need really was for their school-going children. And from even the narratives we did, we realized many were unable to pay upfront for their solar lanterns, so the affordability of the lantern was also something key to them. So after that, we decided to, how about let's interview the kids and also the schools as a partners, and with time we came to realize that schools were a viable partner and a channel of distribution because, one, they knew which parents would be able to pay and which parents would be able to pay in installments and which ones would rather be paid upfront, and they also saw the need for some of the children having the use. Like one example was a kid called Brandon. When we gave him our prototype, he was able to add 2 hours to his reading schedule every day, and so that's really helped him. So with time, our customer segment narrowed down as a result of all the interviews we did. So instead of targeting everyone in the informal settlements and the slums, we decided to target mainly parents with school-going children who have unreliable source of lighting or lack of no electricity. So as I said, we went to various schools to talk to the administration, but in the recent weeks we were unable to continue conducting more interviews in the schools as there was a nationwide strike by teachers who were demanding more pay. But from what we discovered from before, we realized there was no such project in schools before, and school administrations were more than willing to try it out. And but one thing they encouraged us was to first alert the parents prior, and then maybe have something like a solar lantern day where we would go with the products and the parents would purchase them. And this would be with help from sensitization from the teachers who the parents really valued their input. The schools were apprehensive about payments in installments, but because they believe there will be many defaulters. But one thing they encouraged us is they say that they're able to tell which parents can handle paying in installments and which parents can just actually pay upfront. So with time, we realized actually this was something that was a viable business, that we found a better way of reaching our target market. And more so, our competition has not necessarily used this because most of them just sell through retail outlets. Though we have one major end that is that we really need to harness, which is the supplier. We are really looking for a good manufacturer, someone we can rely on, because like the lantern we have, the specifications of the box are not necessarily what the item is. Like, for example, they say it has 36 LED bulbs, but it actually has 15. So that is something we are still embarking on. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I've forgotten. And so like I said, the box really does not say much about the lantern. So we have been trying to look for links. The people we know who can provide us suppliers from China have not really come through for us. Some we've waited for long, but we are hoping to get that through. So really, our experience has been our experience has been, first of all, when we started, we just really wanted to learn from the course. But with time, we realized that actually this was a good business idea. When we came, we were very green, very fresh. But it has been interesting to learn from even our different mentors and even sharing from all the other guys from Kidogo, building community and course. I can say actually, especially for me, me and Mike and Rhoda, we talked about social entrepreneurship before, but we didn't really know how to go about it. But this course has really helped us, and we are hoping to continue with this project. So the next step is finding a supplier, and once we do that, we are going to establish 3 schools that we interview are willing and ready to partner with us in terms of the distribution. So
Whoops, we can't. Can you guys hear them?
pardon?
Sorry, your volume just cut out. Can you go back a few sentences where you missed that?
Okay. I was saying our next steps is really finalizing on finding a good supplier manufacturer for the solar lanterns, because we need a product that is that is cost effective, but that is good in terms of quality. So that's one, and 2, we've already found 3 schools that are ready to partner with us. Most of them have a population of like 2,000 school children. One has 300. So we are waiting for them to finalize their strike and get a good manufacturer. Then we can get on with our first stage of the project. So that's what we're doing next. And finally, today we brought the prototype of our lantern, which we somehow always seem to forget. So there it is.
Is that a prototype that you guys put together, or did you get that from a supplier?
We got that from a supplier. That's what I was saying. We need a good supplier, because like the one we got this one from, the specifications of the box and the product are differing in some aspects. Like for one, they say it can charge phones, but there's nothing to charge the phone with, and it says it has 36 LED bulbs, but they are 15. So that's why we really need a good supplier that you can really rely on.
Is it a Chinese lantern, or like Chinese manufactured lantern?
Yes, Chinese. So
How does the cost compare to what you've been hearing from parents regarding affordability?
It's still going to be slightly above their enablement to pay for it. So we really need to work out a proper installment payment strategy so that we do not, exclude any parent out. So yeah, that's going to be our other challenge. So additionally, we just sent you our video. I don't know if you can check your email and see if you can be able to upload it. I'm not sure how possible that is for it to be shown here.
Sorry, I'm limited. 7 seconds. Can't hear you.
Sorry, we can't hear you.
It's in Dropbox, right? So I have to download and upload it to YouTube to be able to share it with everyone. Do you mind if I do that after and then share everyone's videos in an email following the call?
That's fine.
Okay. A few more questions I have for you guys. What, in sort of the pilot and testing the distribution channels with schools, what are you testing to refine for? Like, what is the thing that you're trying to get good at in these tests? What sort of your competitive advantage compared to all the other solar lantern companies?
See, for the other solar lantern companies, they are mostly located in towns and in the central business districts. So we want to see a way in which to bring the product to the customer as opposed to the customer coming to the product. And I think that is, that is the way in which we are going to sort of, undercut our competitors and be able to get a wider market share as opposed to our competitors who are just located in one place. But for us, I think having a school as a distribution channel will greatly enable us to grow our network countrywide, because schools are just the best location to be able to tap into these parents who want their children to do better. And we use schools because Bob Dove told us that we needed to get the solar lantern up the hierarchy of needs of parents, because for them at the base of the pyramid, their basic need is food, shelter. So solar lantern comes way down. So when you talk about their children, then and every parent wants their child to to do better, to be better. So that's the avenue that we're going to use, and that's why we decided schools would be the best avenue for us to use. Yep.
Okay. I think when you're going forward and if you're presenting or trying to raise money, you'll want to revisit your target market figures with the targeting school children and their parents in mind, and how the numbers change and how big that market is, and how basically you would what the opportunity is for repeated sales, so that you can evaluate whether it's a business or just sort of a project that would take 3-5 years or so, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
Another question I have is, what's been your strategy for trying to contact suppliers in China? Because I might have some engineers that have experience in doing the same in Shenzhen you might be able to talk to and get some more insight into how to contact and get in touch with partnering with a supplier.
So far, the links we had was just businessmen who are our friends who've tried to who have done business with China a lot, and so we were relying on them to get us contacts. So we're thinking recently, as this week or last week, we were thinking maybe if they don't come through, then maybe we can go to the Chinese consulate office here and maybe ask them if they can give us a contact there.
I'll introduce you to one person to see, just informational chat for someone that has sourced and also run manufacturing operations in China, to see maybe what you could learn from him.
That would be appreciated.
Any additional feedback or questions from the rest of the crew?
I think that you guys have done a really, really great job in terms of what the purpose of this course is. So the purpose is to come in with an idea and be completely open to changing it. And I think that we saw in your presentation a huge pivot from targeting slums to really refining it to a single distribution channel and market. And I think that that's brilliant. I also think that the focus that you've put on the distribution channel, you've totally nailed it. I mean, that's such a great way to go through. And if you look at companies like D-Light or even Caribou Solar, everyone has solar lanterns now, but the problem is figuring out how you're going to distribute it, how you're going to get it to your end customer. And I think that you guys have totally figured that out. So that's amazing. I think as you move forward, probably, as Jessica was saying, you need a little bit more on the customer. So I think you've talked about school children, and you've talked about alerting the mothers as a way to have them want to buy a lantern. But I think a little bit more thought needs to go into who are these mothers or parents? How much do they actually make every day? How much does a solar lantern cost, and how many months will it take for them to own it? And if the solar lantern is one piece, then do you give it to them on their first day, and then you just expect payment even though they already have the lantern? What would happen if they just don't pay? That would be a huge loss of product for your company. So I think just a little bit more thought needs to go around the customer and understanding who your customer is, and also figuring out the finances a little bit more. And then I think you guys are set. But great job, really good.
Thank you, Sabrina.
Thanks a lot, Sabrina.
I'd like also to add upon usage of the product, because when we went out on our field test, we did find out that especially on the cranking, we had products that also did charge mobile phones, but the cranks were broken. So if they could still be able to charge their phones using the solar aspect, it will still be better, because once the gears wear out from too much cranking, the device becomes almost useless to them. So I think also on the usage of how people really get to use their product, it's important to look at that. Yeah.
Thanks, Gitonga.
Yeah.
Amazing feedback, guys. Sabrina and Gatunga, I couldn't have said it as well as you guys. I am still trying to look over all our stuff, but at some point later this week and next week, I kind of want to write up a blog post about all your experiences, and we'll run it by you. And I'm also thinking over sort of those accomplishment recognitions that I mentioned at the beginning. But I already know that Team Marafiki is going to get the most, or the spongiest team award, because you were by far extremely coachable. Whatever we kind of threw at you, the feedback that we threw at you, you kind of digested it quickly and came back and said, here, look at this, we did that. So I completely concur with all the comments that Sabrina gave on the amazing sort of progress that you guys have made, and it's been really great to watch. Thank you. And it looks like we have Adnan has joined us. Hi Adnan, how are you doing? Before we move on, do you guys have anything that you want to add, or any questions that you have, or requests of this group that you'd like to make to help you out in your endeavor? Oops. Sorry, Adnan, I'm going to have to mute you. Marafiki, did you guys hear me?
I think I heard your question. So what would you like to report? I think mainly on the supply from China. That was the main one that we are looking for now.
Sounds good. I have one person in mind that I can do an email introduction for you.
Okay.
And if anybody else in the group has any contacts or suggestions, definitely throw it to Marafiki's way.
Thanks a lot, Jessica.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys. All right. Sorry for skipping you. I got completely confused. You're up.
It's okay.
Gatunga?
We're good. Where we started from, just get my screen share in place. Just a minute.
Can you just bring the microphone a little closer, just speak a little louder as usual? You're still a bit soft.
Just a minute. This is where we started from, on getting our charger in place, and getting to how to go to the community. What we did is that we went out to a few. Let me just start with the problem. I'm getting a bit confused. These are our team members. That is me. The other is Jenga. He's the guy who does our engineering aspect. Kenoti is the guy who does our finance. And we did get sometime last week to get on board someone who has a design in industrial design to help us out with designers. That was one thing that was pointed out by the customers about our product. We did talk to about, in total we talked to so many customers, but they all really had the same problem. When you talk to them, how do you get to charge your phone? How many phones do you have? They all give you almost a similar storyboard. So we just narrowed out to about 50 customers. The problem, as you can see, as we did take the photos, it's that when your phone goes off, you really have just three options. Have the money to go and charge, you end up, you stay with your cell phone as when it's dead. Secondly, you need to walk quite a distance to go to the charging kiosks. And thirdly, as you can see, the charging kiosks, they have a very, very huge backlog of phones that they need to charge, and that becomes problems about phone theft. your battery getting exchanged. That was a couple of things that were pointed out to people. When you ask them, before you go to the kiosk, what kind of solutions do you have? Those are the things that they got to show us that they were distributed by Nokia. But I think that this is after I think it was about 8 months when she showed us the same product with the crank now broken, and she told us that now it has become useless and it's not just a radio. The other one were the bicycle dynamos that are attached to bicycles in rural Kenya. The problem with that is that in rural Kenya, the terrain is it's really hilly and it's bumpy, and when it rains, the mud gets really stuck on your tires, and you can't achieve the optimal speeds to cycle enough to get your enough speed to get your dynamo moving to create current. So they end up charging their phones in a really peculiar way. They put their bike up on a stand and they pedal with their hands. And as you can see, that was a woman who put the dynamo on her sewing machine to be able to get enough charge to charge her phone. That is how our target market looks like, because in Kenya we have 30 million phones, but as per the Kenya Power, we only have 9 million people who are on grid power. So we focus mainly on those in rural Kenya. Our competition, I'm talking about the competition, and when you talk about solar, the funny thing that they do with solar, because they have some very low roofs, when it's evening and they're going in-house, they take down their solar panels, and when they are walking out, when they are going to their gardens or to the towns, they also take down their solar panels because it's because of depth issues. That's something that really happens. And as you can see, let me just point out, with the dynamo issues, that's the problem that people really do get to have because of terrain issues. What we thought when we began out, it's that we have a product that that's simply working, and we decide that we can run with it as it is, and And the other thing that had remained was that we thought we could roll out the product as it was, but that wasn't the case, because with the open fire, the product really did have a problem in terms of design functionality, as our thermoelectric was getting burnt, because with the 3-stone fire, it's really out of shape in burning. Our custom architect looks like a person who lives in rural Kenya. They do have a cell phone, but they have to walk quite a long distance to be able to go and charge their phone. And as you can see, those are the pictures that you did get to take of people as you explain to them how our product looks like. They typically cook one meal a day, which is usually dinner, but they cook it in large amounts to be able to go for the following day lunch. The same meal that they had for dinner was what they'd have still for lunch. We also did get to find out that the communities, they get to gather what's happening on the information about the community in the community centers. That's where they go to get communications, and then also people want to go and demo products. That's the route that they get to follow. That you can go to the community center, tell the people that on such and such a day you're going to have to demo our product, and for the people to be aware for them to show up. Just seem to have lost us. Seem to have lost everything. What now we did was, after going to the community center, was now getting to talk to our potential partners on seeing if they would be interested in partnering with us and getting our products down to their customers. The first one we did talk to were Airtel. We put to Airtel that you have the largest and probably the best network coverage in Kenya, because they do, but they have a problem with the rural customers. In terms of the rural customers, their phones do get to go off quite a lot, and they did admit that this is a problem to them. And when we did put to them that we have a cell phone charger that just from their conventional cooking practices, that they can be able to charge their phones, Airtel were actually interested in partnering with us, but they said at some point, once they're sure that our product does work and it works as it ought to, they'd be interested in partnering with us. We got to talk to from people from EcoZoom. They make some um, GCOs, some cooking stoves that are environmentally friendly, that and they'd like to bundle our charger using their stoves, so for them to get, I think, for them to get a better value proposition, and for their products to get to move. With World Vision, we put to them that you have your volunteers, because they usually send their volunteers down to the rural areas, the BOP. And the problem then is that they need to have constant communication with their volunteers wherever it is that they are. And because the only means of communication they have is through the cell phone, and without power, your cell phone is going to go off. That means your communication process is going to be cut off. They said that they'd be really interested in getting our product to their volunteers, especially in Sudan and Somali. That was what they wanted. We also did get to talk to people from AFAM Global, their Kenyan chapter, yesterday. These are the people who do the last mile entrepreneur. They take their products to the bottom of the pyramid people through whole chain of entrepreneurs. They do that for products they deal with in Kenya. And they said that they'd be interested in helping us in our distribution, in getting to roll out our pilot phase, and also getting to develop our distribution chain to go to the people down in rural Kenya. Those ones we talked to them yesterday. The process of the entire process was really it was a learning curve for us, because we never thought of moving out of our building and getting now to go and see actually how people get to deal with this problem, how they get to solve their problems, and really understanding their pain points for them, and getting to know if this will be a viable business, or, as you said, it will be a project. Where we are now, currently we are looking at getting our redesign in focus. As we did get an industrial designer, we can be able to redesign it, to be able to get it fabricated to the shape, to the design that we want, and at least see if we can get to roll out our pilot phase. That's how far.
Hey, Gitonga, are you still there? You cut out.
On like in hundreds, and also in bulk. That's where we are at the moment.
Hi, Gitonga, so you cut out a little bit at the end. So it sounds like you're trying to get suppliers right now too. Is that where you ended?
Yeah, if we can get manufacturers where we can get to send them our design, for them to manufacture it as per our specifications. Yeah, that's where we are.
Yeah. Are you trying to manufacture in China like Marafiki, or is there an opportunity to be able to do a more distributed manufacturing model and manufacture in Kenya?
We looked at the map of manufacturing in Kenya vis-a-vis China, and in Kenya the cost will be really, really expensive. So we just opted to manufacture it in China, probably assemble it in Kenya because it's a really simple design. But it makes sense to actually do that in China because of costs.
So you're also looking for help in finding supplier relationships?
Yeah.
Okay. Any initial questions or feedback from the rest of the crew? I think your deck was really greatly improved from the first time I saw it. I like the additions that you made to it, especially with the pictures of all the customer interviews you guys have had or have done. I think you have a great sort of understanding of the problem and the current conditions in rural areas and the alternatives that people use or the workarounds that people use, and have identified basically being able to charge your cell phone in a non-awkward way as a real need for rural populations. So I think that's awesome to see, and it came out in this slide presentation that you guys did. Have you been working on this full time? I know, you heard about the course through Pauline or her incubator, Growth Africa? Have you been connected with them?
Yeah, we are working in Growth Africa, and actually are going into they're launching a program called Innovation to Idea, whereby people can get funding of about $5,000 to be able to create a prototype and roll it out on a small basis.
Did you say you're getting funding from them?
It's through a program. It's a program that they're launching.
So through Growth Africa, it's a program, and is it like a grant funding?
No, it's investment.
Wow.
It's an investment. Yeah.
Great. That's fantastic. And then I know you mentioned that you have orders from World Vision. Have they actually paid for those orders yet, or those just that's sort of an outstanding order if you can find the supply to deliver for them?
If we can find the supply to deliver to them, they would pay, because right now we do not have the capacity to deliver on our products. So not to strain relations, I do not want to promise on something that I cannot deliver as yet.
What's the timeline that you're looking at for next steps, and when you're looking to possibly be able to make your first sale?
We hope to, by sometime September, we do hope to actually have our first few chargers to get now to roll them out. Yeah.
And where you're at now, is there anything that this group can help you with, or what is something that you have, any asks for this group?
I'm very interested in getting our distribution channel right in order to get our product at the right price point to the people who need it the most. So I'd really appreciate in getting distribution channels that get the people who really need the most. That is what I'm working on, and getting our suppliers right.
And so the distribution channels that you're thinking about is bundling the product with already established products that are being sold. So the partners page that you had with Airtel and World Vision, are those and EcoZoom, are those the only channels that you're pursuing, or what are you looking at to build right now?
I had told you that we talked with someone from Afam Global. They deal with the last mile entrepreneurs, from the producers to the people at the bottom of the pyramid. We talked with them yesterday. They said that they'd be interested in helping us create our distribution network to the people who need it the most, the people who we cannot reach without having to develop ours. Because I think they do the distribution for Delight, and I think Delight, they have a strong distribution to the rural people. So I was thinking of following the same chain.
What's the organization called? Maybe you can on Global. And do they have like door-to-door, what's their model? Door-to-door sales?
Yeah.
So they have like human sales force teams that help to sell products for rural populations?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. One thing going into that would be to understand sort of their fee structure and how much of how much they would take off your margins for distribution, and whether the cost benefit of being able to sell versus what it takes to basically use their services costs you.
Yeah, we're looking into it.
Great. I think you guys have made awesome progress.
Kitana, I think just to add in, what I really liked about your presentation was your partnership slide. I think you guys have done a stellar job at really thinking innovatively about partners. And so you have a very unique technology, and you paired up with a telco like Airtel, but also with the NGO sector like World Vision. And I think that exploring those partnerships and such a wide diversity of partnerships is a great way to further your distribution channels and kind of where you can go with it. The only thing that I would caution is that often you only have one shot at approaching some of these big companies like Airtel or World Vision, and so you want to be able to show that you've got something absolutely amazing that they can't turn away. And the advice that we've been getting for our mentors is just start. Just start and prove concept, and then people will see your work and then want to partner with you. And maybe that's an advice that will carry forward to your team as well, that just start and prove the concept, prove that you have something that works, and then let the partnerships fall where they are. I think that's really important.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's great advice, Sabrina. I think, even before trying to partner with a big distribution partner, you might have to just hire a few of your own direct sales guys and get out there and sell it as a proof of concept, just as Sabrina said. But that was great feedback.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions or things guys would like to share regarding VCT? Nope. I'm gonna also, I think in your presentation you had a product video, and your video too, which I noticed is 8 minutes long, so we might have to cut that down, Gatonga, to share, but definitely share links to that in the follow-up email so everyone can see that. But great job. Thanks so much. So Adnan, I'm not sure if you're still on. We only have about a little more than 10 minutes. Are you still on?
Yes, I am.
All right, so we can squeeze you in if we don't have your presentation because you just sent it out, but if you're able to share your screen.
Can you see this?
Yeah, we can see it. Give you 10 minutes to give us an update on how you're doing because I know you've been quite busy.
Okay, we just got over a board review meeting yesterday and we presented our project and it went through fine. So that means we're going to continue our stay with the incubation center, which is Plan 9 in Pakistan. So this is our product, OddJobber. It's a socially innovative service enabling platform to improve income opportunities and skill set. Hello?
You're fine, keep going.
Okay, all right. So back to the presentation. So it basically works on matchmaking, deal management, standardizing in the low-skilled workspace. It also does the quality management and provides trainings to improve quality of service or to upgrade their skill set. This is our team. I'm the CEO and founder, and Hina is the co-founder and Sherry Blair mentee. We have replaced our CTO with Inamullah, who's a very experienced developer because of Khurram's preoccupation with other projects. He's joined us to replace him. And then we have got more team members who are working on this SMS platform to interact with
Adnan, we can only see slide 1 right now, so if you're moving on to a different slide, you might want to click through.
All right. Can you see the second slide now?
Yes, we can. Thanks.
All right. Okay. All right. I'm the CEO and founder of this company, and we have Hina, who's the co-founder. She's also a Sherry Blair mentee, and then we have Inamullah. He's got 9+ years of experience in development, and he's got a master's degree in computer science. And we have 5 more team members who are working on different parts of the project. Moving on to what the problem statement is, that 1 in 3 Pakistanis are earning $2 of income a day or less, which is even less than what we usually spend on a meal a day. And this market lacks information about opportunities, trainings. They work in exploitative work conditions, and there is no concept of standardization of these jobs. And unlike in the case of high-skilled workers, where they have platforms such as Odesk, Elance, and Vlance, there is none for low skill, and hence the need, and that's where the challenge begins. How to interact with people. So this is how we started. We had too many target segments initially. We were focusing on rural segments. We were focusing on domestic workers. We were focusing on, so it wasn't really focusing. We were trying to cover everything under the sun and who were low skilled. And we had value propositions spread all over. And we didn't know how to prioritize those value propositions for different segments. And we were banking on different revenue streams coming from advertising, transactions, and we were also thinking of other revenue streams. So that was a lot of chaos at the beginning, and we had a lot of untested hypotheses. And since it was a multi-sided market, the challenge was to have sufficient number of workers on board before we gave service, so that once a request for service comes in, we were in a position to service it adequately. So this was our first business model canvas. As you can see on the customer segments, we had multiple identified.
Hey, Anna, just flip through your slides so we can see the same thing that you're looking at. We're still on your team page, slide 2.
All right. Okay, let me see.
Okay, we're on the how you started slide.
Okay. So and so these were the areas of confusion for us. We had too many target segments. We had value propositions for each target segment, but we didn't know which ones would be more effective for, and what would be the priority for these. So we had hypotheses we needed to test, and was and the revenue model was also depending on multiple things, including transaction fee, advertising, and then we had to later on find out that we need to focus on a few at least to prove our case before we move on to the next. And then it's a multi-sided market, so the challenge was to have sufficient number of workers on board before we move to providing service. And as Bob rightly pointed out, and we started working on getting them on board before we can launch our service. Moving on to the next slide, and let me know if we're on the first business model canvas or not.
Yep, we can see it, thanks.
Okay, all right. Okay, so this is our first business model canvas, and as you can see, there were a number of customer segments that we were trying to cover initially, including rural workers, publishers, corporate purchasers, and within individual purchases, within odd job seekers, there were multiple user segments, including housemaids, electricians, and whatnot. And we tried to reduce those segments to only a few as we moved on. So this is what we did. We had initially housemaids to take care of, taxi drivers, rickshaw drivers, and then we focused only on rickshaw drivers. As we learned through the course, that was the best way to move forward. And moving on to our business, to our market size. the potential is quite huge, and the market is quite big for odd job seekers in Pakistan. So greater than 60 million are odd job seekers in Pakistan, and they earn close to $43 billion a day or greater than that. So a slight increase in their income generation opportunity because of our service can mean a lot of business for us as well. So that's the underlying assumption. We try to base our model on only rickshaw drivers initially, and if you check the numbers of rickshaw drivers in Lahore, it's close to 120,000, and that means that they're earning, if they're earning $5 a day, that translates to $58 million a year, and this can very well be multiplied by 10 to find out how much it is in the top 20 cities. So we're targeting 8,000 drivers in the first year, followed by 28,000 in the second and 40,000 in the third year. And we're assuming that we'll be charged 8% of the transaction amount as a fee for the service, and we'll be giving them 3 additional trips per day to utilize their waste time and make them earn more revenue through our system. So this is the area of innovation that we are doing in the context of Pakistan. Since there is no standardization, this is what we're trying to bring about through our system. We're trying to put in place a strict quality management process whereby a service request needs to be fulfilled within 3 minutes of time, and a rickshaw driver needs to go to the place to pick up the customer in 15 minutes if it's near a commercial place, and 30 minutes if it's within a residential place. And we're going to try this out in our MVP trials to see if it really makes, if it really can be followed, or if we need to increase the number of rickshaw drivers to register with us to make it happen. And similarly, we'll be also monitoring how they service the customers, how polite they were, and if they had the customer service, they were following the customer service rule book that we informed them about. And accordingly, their ratings will go up or down, and their income generation capabilities will also be linked with that. And we'll be also managing frequent transactions in a day through this portal, as well as non-frequent, which are contractual transactions. So if someone wants to hire a rickshaw for the entire month, especially for those who are women who go to their office or to college or universities, they would enter into contracts. So it's going to be handled as well. And we have a flexible process engine, so we will be able to simulate processes for different segments and provide service for each of these segments. And we'll also provide training and coaching over the phone and SMS. It's a pay-as-you-earn model, and we're doing matchmaking over phone and SMS for the low-skilled income segment, which has not been tried before in Pakistan. Moving on to the next slide, it's key findings that we summarized through the surveys that we conducted. People make around 100 rupees, $1 a day per trip, and they make 6 to 7 trips. The major pain points are wastage of time, which is close to 60%, and unpredictability of income. And the gains through our system would be, people would be having more predictability of income, and they would waste less amount of time, and the average amount that they committed for this service was 10%, but we'll be initially starting with 8% right now, because we haven't tried out a number of rickshaw drivers, so we don't know if it's a set of all the drivers in Lahore. And for the passengers, this is what we found out. Frequent travelers include female office workers, university-going students, and even school-going children, where rickshaw service provides pick and drop. Others make generally 3 to 5 trips in a month. And this area, the key pains were standardization, high fare, risk associated with rickshaw service, and the gains that they considered were convenience of getting a rickshaw at home without going to the road, and for searching it, and interactivity and ability to view list of available rickshaws, their fares and customer ratings, ability to minimize risks, especially when a female family member is traveling, and average amount committed was around 10%. So we can charge both ways and earn revenue. So we've been trying to capture this value proposition in terms of this image. So it's good. What we're trying to offer is a rickshaw at the doorstep. It's going to be economical, convenient, since you can make a phone call and get it at your home, and it's going to be timely. So we have a quality mechanism in place. It's going to be safe because we provide customer rating, and we also monitor who we register with us. We've already partnered with a few telcos, telecom operators, including Telenor, Mobilink, which are the largest over here in Pakistan, and they'll be providing us with the communication link to talk to these customers and users. And then we have EasyPaisa, which is a mobile financial network in Pakistan. So it's very easy to collect payments because they'll be available at retail shops, and people can easily make small payments to use our service. And then the Punjab ID Board, which is incubating our team in Lahore, which is actually named. The initiative is named as Plan 9, where different companies are being incubated. This is our final business model canvas, and as you can see, the different changes that we've made, we've focused more on refining our customer segments. We've listed down female workers as one of our frequent users over there, and then we've added referrals to our channels, and we've in our customer relationship management, we've added training, as I believe it's going to be very, and we found out it's going to be very helpful. And then we've added key device vendors as our key partners, so considering the fact that tracking service from telecom operators might be a little tricky issue later down. And accordingly, we are also going to be working on tracking devices, and that's what we've added on key activities and resources. And the advertising is going to be offline. We're going to be publishing on the back of rickshaws that are registered with us. So it's going to be a very convenient and inexpensive way of advertising our service. We're going to be using other mechanisms as well. Moving on to our next slide, which is about what we plan on doing next. We've delayed the MVP launch slightly, considering there were a lot of things going on in the incubation center. We were working on a number of pitches and presentations and business plan documentation and board reviews, because of which we have delayed our launch to July 15th. That's when we will have our service numbers advertised. People will start registering with us through those service numbers, and we're going to focus on a few localities that we can cover adequately, and then we'll move on to adding more features to our software, and we'll launch by September 1. It's going to be our soft launch, and then we move on to our full-scale launch in December 1. That's the time when we will have a detailed reporting built into our system as well. So the initial MVP is going to be following this model. So a customer request is going to be placed, and our system is going to act on it by sending out polling requests to the nearest rickshaw drivers that are present. And upon receiving those fares from different rickshaw drivers, we're going to process it, sort it, and send it back to the customer to select which option he wants to go with. While we send them information on fares, if we have information about customer rating about rickshaw drivers, that's what we will add to the information as well. And once he selects the option, we'll close the deal and inform both the rickshaw driver about the exact place of pickup and the name of the person and his particulars so that he can reach that place and close the deal. So that's what we are working on. We've almost finalized. We'll have our we'll share with you our website where you can actually view a demo.
Adnan, have you actually matched any rickshaw customers with rickshaws yet?
Our MVP launch has been delayed, so we'll be doing that by 15th of this month.
So I'm going to take a play out of Sabrina's book and say, I think all the business plans and presentations are holding you back, and you guys should just get out there and do it, and try matching people maybe on foot to see if it actually takes hold. Have you tried any of that, or basically how have you connected with all the mobile telcos and partners to support you without having the customer data or proof of concept quite yet?
We utilize our past relationship with telcos. I've been working with a few telcos, and some of my past colleagues have joined different telecom companies. So they have a standard offering, and we're willing to pay for that. And that helps us send SMSs through an API that we can integrate with our software. So we don't need to use up until now, we were just using a small device which had signal problems most of the times. But moving forward, we'll integrate the API so it goes directly into the system of the telecom operators, and they'll send out an SMS or phone call if we have to reach out to the job seekers or the passengers.
So when you were pitching or talking with these telcos, were you just showing them a software demonstration?
Yes.
Or is there what can say BCT and Marafiki learn from those conversations you had in partnering with people when you don't quite have the business all put together yet?
Yes, because the thing is that unless we have a relationship going with the telcos, we can't really offer service in a proper way, and to find out information about location of rickshaw drivers was also a part of the service we were buying from telecom operators. So they had some basic service offering, and we needed to convince them, and we also showed our demo, and we told them that we are trying to launch this very soon. So we're just waiting for a few processes to be completed. Likewise, when we were arranging a collection network, we talked to the banking system, and they were also not aware. They also wanted to find out how soon we will get customers on board, and we made a presentation to them, and that was helpful. So we're trying to get this service launched by July 15th, and before that time we'll have everything in place.
Great. Well, that's quite soon. That's next week. So looking forward to seeing your website and everything. I love slide 12 in your slide deck with the picture of the rickshaw driver and your services and partners. It really makes it feel quite real compared to when you came in at the beginning. It seems like it's real, and you have a lot more focus and have put a lot of the pieces of the business model canvas into place. Any questions or feedback from the greater team that you have for Adnan?
I'm really impressed. I think you guys have done such a thorough job, and what I love about the approach that you took is that you haven't just focused on the product or the technology. You've really looked at the whole spectrum and you've thought about not selling a product, but you're really selling an experience. And so everything from, you know, how you're going to market it all the way to, you know, how you're going to collect data at the end and give reviews, I think is so solid. And in doing that, I think you've also thought about how you're going to measure impact. And in the development sector, this idea of monitoring and evaluation is so critical, and not a lot of people do it well. And so I think that if you have this built into your system already, where you're able to give feedback on how that driver did or how that customer's experience was, I think you'll do phenomenally well. I think the one maybe advice or concern or advice I have is that when you start, just stay really open to the challenges, because I think you've laid it out so well theoretically that, you know, once a rickshaw driver gets a text that they'll be there in 15 minutes, and if it's, you know, in the city or at the residential, whatever you said, it'll be 30 minutes. And I think when you're working in developing context, as you know, there's traffic and there's unexpected delays. And I'm not sure about Pakistan, but in the countries that I've traveled to, a lot of the buildings are not marked. And so, you know, sending a driver to a place that really doesn't have an address could be challenging and all contribute to delays. And if you go back to the customer's pain points, and they talked about, you know, reliability, predictability, timeliness, and you might have a mismatch there between delays that are inevitable and the customer's, you know, pain points. So just I'm really excited for you guys to start and see how that goes. And I think that we're all very fortunate to be a part of your venture from the beginning and to kind of hear your story come about, because I think in a few years, or perhaps even sooner, this is going to be the next big thing, and we're going to see you all over the internet and the news, because this is really going to change the face of Pakistan.
Thank you so much for your comments.
Anything else from the rest of the team? I just Adnan wanted to mention that our Acumen office is in Karachi, but we have plenty of staff that travel to Lahore, and we also have 2 global fellows in Lahore this year, and I know at least for Jay, who's from the Philippines, we've had some trouble with him. Not trouble, but finding basically safe travel for him back from the office late at night after he's working late. So I know this is a service that even our staff and fellows could use. So looking forward to seeing the progress that you make, and could definitely be early adopters for your service. Anything you'd like to close with, or I've been sort of opening it up to everyone if they have any, at the point you're at right now, are there any asks or any things that this community of entrepreneurs could help you with to get you to the next step or the next level?
I think there is one thing. I've been looking at this this whole concept of odd jobber from the perspective of replicating it globally. I know unless I get a real hands-on experience by trying this service out in Pakistan, I can't really be very sure of what features are doing perfectly fine before replicating it elsewhere. But I do understand that countries are supporting such initiatives. Different countries are supporting employment for low-skilled and working on different platforms. So I would like to try out and get experience of other people who are trying such similar services, so that they can use my platform and launch their services in different parts of the world. Say, for instance, Sabrina knows someone in her part of the world who might want to do something for the for the low-skilled workers. Then I'll be able to offer this platform. We can manage the whole platform from here. We can advise on how the incoming requests can come into our system, so that it'll be processed as if someone was sitting in that country and handling the request. So I'd like to take this opportunity to inform everybody who's part of who's been part of this training session and training program, to let me know if someone is interested to use our platform for their part of the work.
Adnan, there's in Canada and the US, there's a company that you should look up. It's called Uber, U-B-E-R. I believe their website is uber.com. And they offer a very similar service where you essentially text to find a cab. They will tell you all the Uber cabs in the region and how long it'll take for them to get to you. You pay through your smartphone, and at the end you give customer feedback, and that helps the rating of the driver. They're not huge. They're a little bit more expensive because you're paying for this convenience. They are in Toronto. They're in the U.S. and they recently came to Toronto, Canada, and they haven't been widespread, and I'm not too sure why. But I would definitely look up that one because even if there's not an opportunity to partnership, there's definitely opportunities to learn from what they've done.
True.
Adnan, have you connected with Ben Pape, who Bob Dorff introduced you to?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
We had a chat on what he was doing, and revealed that he was working on a mobile application, and we're working on one for Pakistan, but it's not for the our job seekers. It's for our own team, because our job seekers over here don't have high-end phones, smartphones. They have a very inexpensive phone that they use. It's close to $30 or less, and they only use it for making phone calls or occasionally for SMSs. So in that context, what I can probably offer to Ben is to utilize my platform as a service processing engine. Even if they're using their own mobile application, they can process requests through our backend system. Similarly, I'd be interested in finding out if others are interested in working with us.
Okay. I think one thing that I think I've been hearing that you guys have learned from the course, but hope is something that you're taking away, is to sort of not put the horse before the cart and get your pilot right, and figure out what needs to be put into place before you can replicate and think about scaling. So I think as you keep us sort of abreast of the progress that you're making and how the model is working in Pakistan, and the learnings that you're gaining from that would make it easier to start talking to people on how it could be replicated for India, which might be a closer market, and then maybe possibly in a region like East Africa or something.
True.
But we're getting a little close to almost 2 hours, and Sabrina jumped off. But I just sort of wanted to close. I know this hour and a half, 2 hour final presentations did not do any of the work you guys have put into this course justice. And I hope, and it's not sort of a goodbye or final sort of ending, but I just wanted to thank you all for all your work and all that you've put into this course and this pilot, because it was a pilot and we were iterating on the fly, and you guys were all very good sports about it too. But after this call, I'm going to send out the recording of this video or this call and your presentations to mentors, so they can see this call and your final presentations in case they have any comments. Many of them are on vacation, but I have a feeling a few of them will be interested and get back. But I would please ask you to definitely drop them a note or a thank you note for the time and feedback they have basically given to your project over the course of the past 9 months. And I'm also going to, after I review all your presentations and videos, probably continue to give feedback on some stuff, but I definitely want to feature you guys in a blog post on Acumen's blog. Similar to, I'm not quite sure if you've seen Steve Blank's blog, but we referenced his materials during the course, and on his blog after each course he kind of talks about it and uploads the final slide presentations to SlideShare as long as the videos. And I'd love to do something like that for you guys, so that we can share with the community all the hard work you've been doing and your ideas. But anything that I do put together, I definitely will send to you and get your approval. And I would be really, really welcome to anything you would want to contribute. If you wanted to write like a small paragraph or something on your experience, that would be great to contribute it as well. But I'll be in touch about that over this week and next week. Sorry, I've been quite swamped with the Human-Centered Design for Social Innovation course that we just launched with IDEO this month. We have 12,000 people that signed up. So the one person, me on the Plus Acumen team, and our very low-tech system is sort of buckling a little bit under that large of a class. But I'm hoping towards the end of this week and next week I can really put more sort of work and justice to closing up this course, and tying up some of the big learnings that we've learned, and make sure to be able to find a way that we can share your stories with the broader Acumen community, and figure out how we can help connect you to those suppliers or other key people that could help you in your entrepreneurial journey. And last but not least, Adnan, I think you weren't on, but we have access to Launchpad Central until August 1st. That's when our account, our subscription is basically up. And there is a way to download all your information. I'm not sure if you figured that out. I need to look into it a little more closely, but there is something under your profile settings that basically gives you the ability to export everything that you've uploaded. And I can make sure I get the correct steps and directions and include that in an email. But basically, I would recommend you do that in the next couple of weeks, because you guys uploaded a lot of really valuable information as you continue this journey. So I would encourage you to make sure you get your stuff down from there. But with that, that's about it. Thanks so much, guys. It's been such a pleasure and really fun to watch the progress that you've made, and I hope you guys will stay in contact and keep us up to date on the progress that you are making and how we can help.
Thank you also for just being patient with us and always being at hand for us. I think
no worries.
And the other instructors helped us to keep pushing on despite the intensity of the course, and we really want to continue and make sure we make Acumen proud and ourselves proud of all the work we put in the last 2 months.
And I'd like to mention something about this program. I think it was a great learning experience, and I wish and I hope that I had more time to spend on learning and interacting, and only if the Plan 9 team had allowed us to stay away from those sessions that they made mandatory, and we had to attend them all day long. It was so tiring, and I just hope and wish to continue to learn from this team even after this program has ended.
Like you said, I think the greatest thing about all of this is just getting out of the building. That to me has proved to be very instrumental in getting feedback that's going to enable us move forward. It's been something getting out of the building. Yeah.
Great. That was a big part of the whole course, so I'm glad that was one of your big takeaways. But that's great to hear. And I'll probably circulate a little bit of a short answer survey like I did in Midway course to just get more of your thoughts on what your biggest takeaways were, what you liked, what didn't, what helped in your learning most. So you can basically be an integral part in iterating and helping to make this course better next time, and hopefully try to make it available to more teams than just 7 or 8. But thank you, guys.
Okay.
It's been fun.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon, evening, and I'll be in touch later this week.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.